Your Dodge transmission doesn't have to die at 150,000 miles. I've seen 8 speeds in police chargers push past 400,000 miles, and I've watched identical transmissions grenade at 80,000 miles in civilian hands. The difference isn't luck. It's 7 specific habits that separate long-lasting transmissions from expensive rebuilds. I'm RJ, and I've been rebuilding Dodge transmissions for over 20 years. From old 3-speeds in Dakotas to modern 8-speeds in Hellcats, I've torn down enough failed units to know exactly what kills them and what keeps them alive. Today, I'm walking you through the exact maintenance and driving habits that push Dodge transmissions past 300,000 miles without major repairs. These aren't theories. These are proven strategies from fleet mechanics, high-mileage owners, and my own shop experience. Stick around because habit number 3 alone has saved customers thousands in early transmission failure. Let's get started. Habit number 1. Ignore the lifetime fluid lie. This is the biggest scam Dodge ever pulled on transmission owners. Lifetime fluid. The marketing sounds great. Never change your transmission fluid again. Just drive it and forget it. Here's the reality I see in my shop every single week. Transmissions with lifetime fluid die between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. Transmissions with fresh fluid changed every 60,000 miles easily hit 300,000 miles and beyond. Let me be crystal clear about this. There is no such thing as lifetime transmission fluid. Fluid breaks down from heat, friction, and contamination. In your 8-speed ZF transmission, that fluid is working harder than you realize. It's creating hydraulic pressure, cooling clutch packs, lubricating gears, and operating solenoids. Every shift generates heat. Every stop-and-go cycle adds wear particles. Every towing session degrades the fluid faster. I've cut open 8-speed transmissions with original lifetime fluid at 100,000 miles. The fluid is black, burnt-smelling, and full of metal particles. The filter is clogged with debris. The valve body is varnished with sludge. This is what Dodge calls lifetime fluid. For 8-speed ZF transmissions and Chargers, Challengers, Rams, and Durangos, change the fluid every 60,000 miles. For 6-speed transmissions, every 60,000 miles. For older 4-speed and 3-speed units, every 50,000 miles or sooner if you tow. Use only the correct fluid. For 8-speed ZF transmissions, that's ZF Lifeguard 8, or equivalent Mopar fluid. Do not use universal ATF. Generic fluid causes harsh shifts, shuddering, and premature clutch wear. For older transmissions, use Mopar ATF plus 4. This isn't negotiable. Wrong fluid destroys friction modifiers and attacks seals. A proper fluid change costs $200 to $350 at a shop. Do it yourself for $100 to $150 in parts. A rebuilt 8-speed transmission costs $3,500 to $5,000 installed. A remanufactured unit is $4,500 to $6,500. The math is simple. Spend $300 every 60,000 miles or spend $5,000 once when it fails. I've had customers cry in my shop over transmission failure. Almost every single one ignored fluid changes because Dodge said lifetime. Don't be that person. Habit number 2, change the filter every time you change the fluid. Most owners change transmission fluid but skip the filter. Big mistake. The filter is where all the wear debris goes. Metal particles from clutch packs, shavings from gears, burnt friction material, and sludge from degraded fluid. When that filter clogs, fluid flow drops, pressure falls, shifts get harsh, clutches slip, and failure accelerates fast. On 8-speed ZF transmissions, the filter is internal. You have to drop the pan to access it. Some quick lube shops just drain and fill through the fill plug without dropping the pan. That leaves the old filter in place, full of contamination. The fresh fluid you just paid for is now flowing through a dirty filter. Within 20,000 miles, that new fluid is contaminated again. Always drop the pan. Replace the filter, clean the magnets, inspect for metal debris, replace the pan gasket. This is how you do a real transmission service. I've seen 8-speed filters so clogged that fluid barely passes through. The transmission starts shuddering, throwing codes and slipping into limp mode. Owners think the transmission is shot. Sometimes it's just a $40 filter that needed changing 30,000 miles ago. A complete service with filter, fluid, and gasket cost $250 to $400 at a shop. DIY cost is $120 to $180. Skipping the filter saves you maybe $50 now, but it costs you $4,000 later when the transmission fails, from restricted flow and overheating. Every single 8-speed service in my shop includes a filter, no exceptions. That's how these transmissions hit 300,000 miles. Habit number 3, reset the adaptive learning after every fluid change. Here's something most Dodge owners and even some mechanics don't know. Your transmission learns your driving habits over time. It adapts shift points, pressure, and timing based on how you drive. This adaptive learning is stored in the TCM transmission control module. When you change the fluid, especially if the old fluid was degraded, the transmission is suddenly working with different friction characteristics. Fresh fluid grabs harder. Shifts feel different. But the TCM is still using old adaptation data. This causes harsh shifts, delayed engagement, shuddering, and erratic behavior. Owners panic thinking the fluid change broke something. It didn't. The TCM just needs to relearn. Here's how to reset the adaptive learning. After the fluid change, drive the vehicle normally for about 10 miles to circulate the new fluid. Then perform a TCM reset. You can do this 2 ways. Use an OBD2 scanner with transmission reset capability. Navigate to TCM, select Reset Adaptations or Relearn, and follow the prompts, or disconnect the battery for 30 minutes. This clears all adaptive data and forces a fresh relearn. After the reset, drive the vehicle through a relearn cycle. Start cold, idle for 2 minutes, drive gently for 10 miles with varied speeds, make 20 to 30 full stops from 30 miles per hour, accelerate moderately through all gears and let the transmission shift naturally without forcing it. The TCM will relearn smooth shift points based on the fresh fluid characteristics. I've fixed countless broken transmissions this way. Customer changes fluid, transmission shifts weird, customer freaks out. I reset the adaptations, drive it through a relearn cycle, and suddenly it shifts like new. This simple reset has saved customers from $500 diagnostics and unnecessary repairs. On 8-speed ZF transmissions especially, this reset is critical. Those transmissions are extremely adaptive. Fresh fluid without a reset can feel terrible for thousands of miles. Habit number 4, add a transmission cooler for towing and performance driving. Heat kills transmissions faster than anything else. Every 20 degrees above normal operating temperature cuts transmission life in half. Let me say that again. For every 20 degrees too hot, you lose half your transmission's lifespan. Normal operating temperature for Dodge transmissions is around 175 to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Start climbing to 220, 240, 260 degrees, and you're cooking clutches, warping valve bodies, and burning fluid. Towing, hauling, high-performance driving, and hot climates all generate excessive heat. The factory transmission cooler in most Dodges is adequate for normal driving. Add a trailer, load the bed, or run hard at the track, and that factory cooler is overwhelmed. This is where fleet vehicles like police chargers have an advantage. Many come with heavy-duty cooling packages that civilian models don't get. Installing an aftermarket transmission cooler is one of the cheapest insurance policies you can buy. A good auxiliary cooler costs $150 to $300. Installation is $100 to $200 if you pay a shop. DIY installation takes about 2 hours with basic tools. Mount the cooler in front of the radiator for maximum airflow. Run -6 AN lines from the transmission to the cooler and back. Some installations stack the cooler with the factory unit. Some bypass the factory cooler entirely. I recommend stacking. Run the fluid through the factory cooler first, then through the auxiliary cooler. This gives you the best cooling and maintains the factory thermostat function. The result is transmission temperatures that stay 30 to 50 degrees cooler under load. That's the difference between 250 degrees that's destroying clutches and 200 degrees that's safe. I've installed coolers on Ram 2500s that tow heavy, Chargers that see track duty, and Durangos that haul families through Arizona summers. Every single owner reports lower temps and smoother shifting under load. One Ram owner was seeing 240-degree temps towing his camper. After the cooler install, temps stayed at 190 even on steep grades. His transmission is now past 280,000 miles and still shifts perfectly. If you tow more than twice a year, haul heavy loads regularly, drive in hot climates, or have a performance Dodge like a Scat Pack or Hellcat, install a cooler. It's the difference between a transmission that lasts 100,000 miles and one that goes 400,000 miles. Habit number 5, stop destroying your transmission with bad driving habits. Transmissions don't just fail from neglect, they fail from abuse. And most owners don't even realize they're abusing their transmission. Here are the specific habits that kill Dodge transmissions faster than anything else. Neutral drops. Revving in neutral and slamming into drive or reverse. This shocks the clutch packs, bands, and planetary gears. One neutral drop can take 5,000 miles off your transmission's life. Do it regularly and you're looking at failure before 100,000 miles. I've rebuilt transmissions with destroyed clutches from owners who thought neutral drops were harmless fun. Shifting before stopping. Going from drive to reverse or reverse to drive while the vehicle is still rolling. This forces the transmission to absorb momentum it wasn't designed to handle. Bands stretch, clutches slip, and the valve body takes a beating. Always come to a complete stop before shifting between drive and reverse. Towing in overdrive. Letting the transmission hunt between gears while towing a trailer. Use tow, haul mode, lock out overdrive. Keep the transmission in a lower gear under load. Constant upshifting and downshifting generates heat and wears clutches. I've seen Ram transmissions fail at 90,000 miles from towing in overdrive with no tow-haul mode engaged. Riding the brake on hills, holding the vehicle on an incline with the brake while in drive. This keeps the torque converter locked against the brakes, generating heat. Use park or neutral when stopped on hills for more than a few seconds. If you're in traffic on a hill, shift to neutral and use the parking brake. Flooring it from a stop. Launching hard repeatedly puts maximum stress on clutches and bands. The 8-speed ZF transmission is strong, but it's not designed for drag strip launches every day. If you want to drive hard, fine. But understand that aggressive launches reduce transmission life. One customer with a Hellcat was doing burnouts and hard launches 3 times a week. His transmission failed at 45,000 miles with destroyed clutch packs. Cold transmission abuse. Driving hard before the transmission reaches operating temperature. Fluid is thick when cold. Clutches don't engage smoothly. Shifts are harsh. Give the transmission at least 5 to 10 minutes of gentle driving to warm up before any aggressive driving. This applies to both cold weather starts and vehicles that have been sitting overnight. Change these habits and your transmission will thank you with another 100,000 miles of service. Keep abusing it, and you'll be in my shop with a $5,000 rebuild bill, wondering what went wrong. Habit number 6. Catch problems early before they become expensive. Transmissions don't usually fail without warning. They give you signs. Small problems that are cheap to fix if you catch them early. Expensive disasters if you ignore them. Here are the warning signs every Dodge owner needs to know. Shuddering. That's the 8-speed ZF transmission's most common complaint. A vibration or shudder during acceleration between 30 and 50 miles per hour. Feels like driving over rumble strips. This is torque converter lockup shudder, caused by degraded fluid, worn clutches, or faulty solenoids. Catch it early with a fluid change and additive, $250. Ignore it until the torque converter fails, $2,500. Harsh shifts. Transmission slamming into gear instead of smooth engagement. Points to low fluid level, degraded fluid, worn clutches, or failing solenoids. Check fluid level first. Change fluid second. If harsh shifts continue after fresh fluid and relearn, you need diagnostics. Catching valve body problems early can save $1,500 compared to waiting for complete failure. Delayed engagement. Put the transmission in drive or reverse and it takes 2 to 3 seconds to engage. This indicates low pressure, worn clutches, or internal leaks. Fresh fluid might help if clutches aren't too far gone. Wait too long and you're replacing clutch packs at $1,800 to $2,500. Slipping. RPMs rise but vehicle doesn't accelerate. Feels like the transmission can't hold a gear. This is clutch failure. If caught immediately, sometimes a fluid change helps. Usually, you're looking at a rebuild. Don't ignore slipping. Every mile you drive, slipping damages more components. Grinding or whining noise, metal-on-metal grinding points to gear damage, bearing failure, or planetary gear problems. Whining can be pump failure or low fluid. Either way, these noises mean something is breaking. Get diagnostics immediately. A $400 pump replacement is better than a $4,000 transmission replacement. Check engine light with transmission codes. P0700 series codes point to transmission issues. P0730, P0871, P0777. These indicate internal problems. Don't clear the code and hope it goes away. Find out what's failing and fix it before it cascades into bigger damage. Fluid leaks. Transmission fluid is red or brown. If you see spots under your Dodge, check the color. Transmission leaks can come from the pan gasket, output shaft seal, cooler lines, or torque converter seal. A $150 seal replacement prevents a $300 tow bill when you run out of fluid on the highway and destroy the transmission. I keep a log of every transmission I rebuild. I track mileage, symptoms, and what the owner ignored. Over 80% of the expensive rebuilds could have been prevented with early intervention. That shudder at 60,000 miles? It needed a fluid change. Instead, the owner drove it for another 40,000 miles until the torque converter disintegrated. $250 fix became a $4,200 rebuild. Don't be that statistic. Habit number 7, learn from the 400,000-mile examples. These aren't myths. I've personally worked on Dodge transmissions with over 400,000 miles. Police Chargers with original 8-speed transmissions passed 350,000 miles. Fleet Rams with 6-speed transmissions pushing 400,000 miles. What do they all have in common? Religious fluid changes. Every 50,000 to 60,000 miles like clockwork. No exceptions, no delays. Documented service history. Filter replaced every single time. Not just drain and fill. Full service with pan drop, filter, and gasket. Transmission coolers. Every high-mileage fleet vehicle I've seen has auxiliary cooling. They learned early that heat kills transmissions. Proper driving technique. No neutral drops, no shift while rolling, tow-haul mode when towing. These drivers aren't babying their vehicles. Police cars get driven hard, but they're driven correctly. Gentle warm-ups. No abuse when cold. Proper gear selection under load. Quick response to problems. First sign of trouble, it gets diagnosed and fixed. They don't wait for complete failure. One example that stands out is a 2015 Dodge Charger Pursuit. Police package with the 5.7 Hemi and 8-speed ZF transmission. This car saw hard city driving, high-speed pursuits, long idles, and constant stop and go. The department changed the transmission fluid every 50,000 miles. Installed an auxiliary cooler at 60,000 miles. Performed adaptive relearns after every service. At 320,000 miles, I inspected that transmission. Fluid was clean. Filter had normal debris. Clutch packs showed wear but were still within spec. Valve body was clean. That transmission was good for another 100,000 miles easily. The civilian owner who bought it at auction has it past 380,000 miles now. Still on the original transmission. Still shifts smooth. Compare that to a 2016 Ram 1500 I rebuilt last month. Owner never changed the fluid, said Dodge told him Lifetime. At 87,000 miles, the transmission started shuddering. He ignored it. At 95,000 miles, it started slipping. He drove it another 3,000 miles until it wouldn't move at all. When I tore it down, the fluid was black sludge. The filter was 90% blocked. Clutch packs were burnt to a crisp. Valve body was varnished. Total loss. $4,800 rebuild. 2 transmissions. Same basic design. One lasted 380,000 plus miles with proper care. The other died at 98,000 miles from neglect. That's the difference these 7 habits make. So let's recap the 7 habits that make Dodge transmissions last 300,000 miles or more. Ignore the lifetime fluid lie. Change fluid every 60,000 miles with the correct type. Change the filter every single time. Don't skip this step. Reset adaptive learning after fluid changes for smooth shifting. Add a transmission cooler if you tow, haul, or drive hard. Stop abusing your transmission with bad driving habits. Catch problems early before they become expensive disasters. Learn from the 400,000-mile examples. Follow their maintenance and driving practices. These habits aren't complicated. They're not expensive compared to a $5,000 transmission rebuild. They just require consistency and attention. Do them right, and your 8-speed, 6-speed, or older transmission will outlast the rest of the vehicle. Skip them, and you'll be in a shop like mine, wondering why your transmission failed at 100,000 miles. Your Dodge transmission was built to last. Give it the maintenance it needs, and it will take you past 300,000 miles without major repairs. That's not a promise. That's a fact I see proven in my shop every single week. If you found this helpful, check out my next video where I'm breaking down the exact maintenance schedule that keeps Hemi engines running past 400,000 miles without lifter failure.